beer, sports. Join Sean and Brad as they talk about sports and share a beer. From the east coast of Canada to the west coast of the United States. Over to you, boys.
Everybody, what's good with you? Hey, Sean and Brad, guys, beer sports. We are episode 4, season 3, episode 5, whatever. I don't even know why we keep track of episodes. To be fair anymore. We'll put that stuff on the content label and then you can see it. I don't know. It's all, no one can count when you're having fun, right? That's always the thing.
That's so true. So
true. Fun. So here we are. Week 3 of the NFL season, the best time of the year for yours truly.
Week 2.
Golly, where am I at? I know. I just like to bust your balls. I feel like I haven't talked a lot of shit to you lately, and it's really starting to bleed in.
You haven't been able to until recently.
Yeah, I feel bad for you.
What do you mean?
I sat on that screenshot of our baseball fantasy league.
Yeah,
I sat on that for like 4 weeks, Sean.
You were waiting, eh?
I was like, oh my God, as soon as he starts again, I'm launching this thing. Like, it just came to me one time, and I was like, but it was like too late in the conversation.
And you knew I'd do it too. You knew.
I send it now. I was like, if he brings this shit back up again, I'm going there. And I was like, I got it.
You knew I'd do it because the chase was like, there it is.
I was like, yes, it paid off.
I was cracking. I was like, tears were welling up. I'm like, oh, he got me.
Yep.
Brad's visiting us from the future, and he knows that the New York Giants are going to beat Washington.
Place your bets. You guys aren't going to believe it. It's the craziest thing you'll ever see. Game-winning kick, and guess what? The guy from the Washington football team, right? He misses the kick. Place goes crazy, but guess what? There's a flag, folks. It's the wildest thing you'll see. In the nose tackle of all people, the guy staring at the ball, jumped across like a hungry lion looking at a steak.
Remember, this is all from the future because Brad's in week 3.
You got to pick it again. Bang.
Oh, Brad, it seems like you have a lot in your mind here, brother. So first off, happy anniversary to you and yours. This is going to be
that lady's put up with me for 13 years. That's pretty big deal.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. You know, I mean, she's letting you record just like mine is letting me record right now. Somehow we're having fun every week.
Listen, it's early here in the West Coast, and she is still sleeping, so let's not.
Yeah.
Let's not keep ourselves.
Man.
5 of my 5 children are awake and have been tended to, and the missus is still sleeping. And I would love to say it's an anniversary present, but it's what we do on Saturdays. So she gets to sleep. I handle the business, which you can tell that's how my kids are behaved. So here we are. We are.
So first off, week 1 came off, and first off, what the heck happened to Josh Allen? Oh my God, that was Josh Allen of old.
Oh, I'm sorry. You've not been listening to me this whole time. You phase it off that I'm hating, but I'm just being honest.
Well, wait a second, because it's not just Josh Allen that had a little bit of a rough time there, a little rough patch in week 1. Because Aaron Rodgers, I think, for the first time in his NFL career, got pulled in the fourth quarter.
He didn't get.
He got the yank. He got the yank, bro. 3 points.
I don't know what else you expect from a man with a man bun, but
it's a man with a man bun.
If your quarterback has a man bun, he's 100% not the best player in the league.
I'll give you that, and I'll one up you because I still think he's devastated by the loss of not hosting Jeopardy. I think it's in his head.
Yeah, I mean, we heard Michael Irvin say this week, if you're already thinking about retirement, you already are. We know that Aaron thought about it, so you have to wonder where he is. With all that said, you guys are going to listen to this episode, and Aaron Rodgers will have thrown for 350 yards. So in week 2,
Right, because you came back. You came back. That's right.
Well, he's playing. It's the Detroit Lions, right? It's the Detroit Lions. Like
It is.
Aaron
What are you
Rodgers
gonna do?
habitually tortures the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I was just reading something. I think he's like 15-5 against them, and something ridiculous like 5,000 yards against
He
Detroit
just
alone.
loves to torch them, and they're at
So,
home. I mean, it's just it all sets
yeah,
up for a big comeback week for Green Bay.
that's why I left
No
him on my
panic there.
fantasy.
Way more panic in Buffalo with Mr. Allen's inaccuracy issues flaring up again.
That was crazy, man, to watch. I don't know. I just think he thought that the first half was
It was
good.
crazy because you're like, oh my God, Brad and Reed are right. Josh Allen is terrible. We told you that he can listen. If I was Buffalo right now, I would be like, listen, no fans at the home games because the only time Josh Allen is good is when no one's watching.
Babe, I'll tell you what I am looking forward to is that Cleveland Browns Houston Texans game.
Weird flex, but okay.
We'll get into all that though. So we were wrong about the Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
We were wrong about them. We were wrong about Green Bay. I was wrong about Buffalo trouncing Pittsburgh. So, all right, everybody got a good one there. It's
Yeah, but still, like if you think about it, being out 3 is not terrible. Like
it's not terrible. It's not terrible. But you know,
when I went 3 and 4 in my fantasy leagues, and shout out to Reed for beating me in week 1. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
yeah. What the hell is with your name there? By the way, it's Austin, soon to be Austin Bills. Like what? You're just antagonizing me, and we're facing each other this week.
Nope, that's the only. I'm gonna change it after we play. I set it up just so for that. You know, I mean that's just the thing. There'll be 3 teams in Texas before long.
So this week's episode, it just got me to thinking when I saw is it Jerry Jeudy from the Broncos, wide receiver for the Broncos. We were all throwing that highlight out of his ankle.
Before we get to today's topic,
yeah.
Thanks to our sponsors, Flyers Brewery and Restaurant. We appreciate you guys. Corner of Highway 20 and Whidbey Avenue in Oak Harbor. Go see them. Tony's my favorite brewer of all time. So Pacemaker Porter is still number 1 in my book. Tony, thanks for making excellent beer. Thanks for supporting the podcast. We'll see you guys soon. Great place to watch games, do those things. Our friends at Bodega Brawl. Hey, listen, I got my copy this week. So look, 100 of 100 special edition. Got the pad, got all the things. It's the business. That's all you got to know. It's the business. So go get yours.
That looks great.
Check them out. Bodega Brawl. Link in there. Shout out to them. Sean.
Hey, smooth my balls. Hey, if you want to be happy with yourself, pick up your self-confidence. Feel all around better. Get yourself some roomy tools at Smooth My Balls. Go to www.smoothmyballs.com/guysbeersports.com in order to get your 15% off. Your boys will love you.
Best decision you'll ever make. Not only your boys, your partner, your friend, yourself. Man, tell you what. Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
So now that we got that out of the way,
Yeah.
thank you, sponsors.
I would like to shout out both of us for getting good haircuts this week too, because we both look.
We look good, eh? Yeah.
It's interesting that it's apparently, tank top season is out apparently in the 6th, and now we're on the button ups. So thanks for classing the joint up there, John.
So I went. It's just out here on Dundas Street, and the corner of Dundas and Sumac.
Dundas.
It's called
Dundas shit.
Yeah, so it's called 611 Purple Factory, and it's owned by Raekwon, the chef. Raekwon.
Okay, that explains it all.
Yeah, gray haircut. You know what? You have to buzz to get in, so they look at you, and they try to decide: are you cool enough to come in here? Are you cool enough?
So did you sneak in behind somebody?
That's exactly what I did, Brad. It was somehow my personality managed to win them over. So because they were looking at me going,
someone else, the door opened and you just snuck in and hooked it and walked yourself in.
Well, yeah, they did me correct, man. It was good. Even the beard, good trim up beard. Yeah, you look great.
Yeah.
Look at
That's
you.
the best part. Yeah, well, and Lampton always does a first class job. I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. We got to have him back
Best
on.
I got almost. I would just say, all the Tesh boys go to see Lampton now. So
There you
I
go.
finally got my brother finally had enough of not having the best haircut in his house. My nephew goes there, and so I took Mark in for the first time because Mark's a low guy, but man, he walked out of that joint 3 feet taller. Just
I gotta have work. I have to have words. I have to have words with your brother Mark drafting Josh Allen like that out of spite. But whatever. We'll get into that later.
You know how we get down, Sean.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
So after seeing, I was just stating here that after seeing Jerry Jeudy going down, and then only finding out he was just down for 8 weeks, so it must have been a high sprain injury, not a complete break.
Yeah, the weird thing about the high ankle sprain though is that it's really a break, right? They call it a high ankle sprain for whatever reason, but really it's the bone pops out of the joint, and it's not.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No,
but 8 weeks is not like surgeries and
no 8 weeks. 8 weeks is it's not as terrible as it looked.
Yeah,
because it looked
so. Yeah, it looked terrible. It really did.
Yeah.
So that got me to thinking for this week's podcast. I mean, I was just thinking, man, what are the things? Because it just started coming back to me, all the different injuries that has happened. That just made me went my course of watching sports. Because that's one thing is definitive is in sports, playing contact sports or what have you. You're going to see something probably very much disgusting.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, when you pitched this idea to me, I was well into it. And that's the thing. I can tell you where I was and what I was doing when it happened. I think maybe that's, the thing of all things is you remember these things and be like very vividly like, oh, I was doing this activity and this happened. Like, that's an important milestone. And for, I think we agree there's some injuries that have happened that you're like, what? Like, you got to go look at it. And, even in the Thursday night game, again, coming from the future, one of the interior linemen from the Giants got wrecked, and they came back for break, and they were like, hey, all we can tell you is that it's a lower leg injury, and we're all going to do you a service of not showing it to you. And, like, that's when you know that, because this isn't even on my list, but, like, that Alex Smith injury, where he shattered his leg, that was a rough one.
That was horrific.
So there was those things. We've seen. I remember Carson Palmer having his knee fully extended and getting run into by a defensive lineman and just shredding his knee.
Are these your honorable? These are your honorable mentions?
Yeah, those aren't even on my list, right? I mean, we're going top 5, and those two are. I say those things, be like, oh yeah, those were rough, and they're not even in my list.
Well, the two of my honorable mentions, and the only reason why I didn't count them is because it had to do with wrestling. So, because it's like sports entertainment, not like
it's still sports.
It's still
if you just said it was cheerleaders or curling, then I would be like, wow, maybe an honorable mention.
But Sid Vicious.
See how I compared curling.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. So Sid Vicious, when he got his leg snapped against Scott Stein's back in 1997-98, that one I keep forgetting about. But that was vicious looking. You can still see that on YouTube if you want to.
Was Vicious looking for Sid Vicious?
Vicious looking for Sid Vicious. And then there's Mick Foley's. This is in 1989 in Japan, where he used to do this thing where he gets himself caught up in the ropes. And the ropes were like this, but they were like extra tight. And it ended up ripping his ear off. Just nasty.
Yeah.
Those are my honorable mentions. So without further ado,
he was the motivation for Mike Tyson biting off Holyfield's ear.
I think so.
Fair point.
All right. So without further ado, I think, Brad, let's get you started off with your number 5.
Oh man, I didn't even put them in order. I just have 5. So I'll just give you the first one that pops in my brain. It's Paul George in the Olympic lead up to, I think it must have been the 2016 games. Man, and
I think it was 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
Might have been. somewhere in there.
No, actually, I think you're right.
2016 was the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
They were having an inter squad scrimmage, right? If you don't remember, and so that's when, they still have the full camp, and so it's all the players that are a part of USA basketball, not just the 12 that go to the games, right? There's a whole, other team that's competing for a spot. So they're having this inter squad scrimmage, and Paul George just comes down weird, and like the basket stanchion where the support for the basket was a little bit closer than it normally is, and he caught it and just snapped his leg in half. And it was one of the, I remember the first time, not first time, but like a visibly spot where people were crying on the court. Fans were, and he's just on like not in a good spot, and they canceled the rest of the scrimmage because none of the players wanted to continue. And it was just the wildest thing for me. And I still have a screenshot of it. This is terrible. I took a screenshot of it happening before they pulled it off because I wanted to be able to remember it. And I've showed it to a bunch of people. I'm like, look at this. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no, look at it. Because it's like maybe 6 inches from his knee is where his leg bends like it is his knee. Oh man, it is horrific.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's nasty. That's nasty. I remember looking at that. Yeah, that's nasty.
Well, yeah, and they were like, it was one of those things where it's a scrimmage, and so everyone's kind of a little bit looser, and they're like, oh, Paul George is down. Looks like he hurt his knee, and they went and showed the replay, and they're like, oh yeah, that's not his knee. That's not his knee.
All right, so mine, to start mine off, and I figured to myself, because like a lot of people just forget about hockey all over the place.
Yeah, you do a great job of not letting us forget about hockey. I'll say that.
So I had to go with Brian Berard. This happened back in March 2000. It changed the game of hockey as we know it. So this is the days where it was optional. If you want to wear a visor, you can wear a visor. If you don't want to wear a visor, no problems, right? Brian Berard was a defenseman for the Toronto Maple Leafs. This happened in it was then at that time, ACC, they were playing the Ottawa Senators. Marian Hossa, who was a great hockey player, ended up playing for Ottawa, got traded from Ottawa to Detroit, Detroit to Pittsburgh. I think he won the Cup in Chicago with the Chicago Blackhawks for 2 seasons there. But he was chasing a cup when he went to Detroit and Pittsburgh. He was just on the other side of the losing teams. So when Pittsburgh and Detroit faced each other the first time, anyway, I'm going into the weeds.
He was the first loser in those things. Yeah. Are we talking about his injury?
No, we're not talking about his injury. That's what I'm saying.
We can have a whole another episode on guys that chase rings. I would love it. I would love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So here he is.
I have some thoughts about that shit.
Yeah. So Marian Hossa is trying to get the puck out of his zone, right? So he's taking a wild shot at it. And while his stick is coming up, it comes right up in Brian Berard right here and pops out his freaking eyeball. Out it goes. He's there. I'd never seen so much blood. And you just see the guys down, and you see these guys are coming, and you knew it was disgusting. I don't know how many operations. It was several operations.
His eyeball was out?
Out. So several operations in order to get his eyeball back in. He ended up getting traded, or he ended up signing with the Islanders afterwards and finished out. Yeah, he ended up finishing up his career. But that was absolutely, fantastically disgusting. I will never forget that. And that's when they decided, nope, it's going to be visors are mandatory.
Yeah, that'll do it. Were you watching that game live?
Yeah.
That's the worst, right? It's one thing, like I think all of these moments that I have are all ones that I saw live, because seeing them, on SportsCenter on replay, you're like, I mean, they're cool, but like it's not.
Yeah.
You kind of know it's horrific. But the ones that happen live where you have like this weird, like, what was it? And then you see it and you're like, oh, like that, right? This is the thing.
It's just like that.
Just like that. That's what it's like watching a highlight as opposed to watching it in real time. Like you were like the real time version. Your background friend there was the watching the highlight.
That was my mother, everybody. Yes.
Yeah.
She's visiting. Okay. All right. We covered our 5. What was the next one on your list.
We did not cover we covered number 5. That's what you're saying.
That's right.
Back to it. It's Kangaroo Jr. slamming into the wall and breaking his wrist. Must have been 93, and just like as a kid watching your baseball hero, do something you've seen him do a bunch of times and then, not be okay was maybe the first time that had happened to someone that I like revered. I had seen a bunch of injuries, but I had never had seen my own personal favorite player get hurt. And so that's why it sticks in my brain. And then he missed the rest of the year, and I remember just being bummed out. And realizing the first time like how injuries work in sports, because I think up till then you'd see someone get hurt and then you don't watch that team much anymore when it's like the visiting opponent, right? Or a backup. You're like, oh yeah. But when it's like the star player of your team, man, that is just gut punching.
That's it's funny when you say that, because it's like you being young and then seeing that happening, it affects you, right? I mean,
well, and you see him as superhuman, right? And then see him get hurt. Like you're like, well, what are we crashing into a wall like that? That can break your arm.
Yeah,
it's weird.
So for me, it was Anderson Silva. We're talking about 2013 December.
Yeah, this is my third one actually.
That's your third one?
Yeah.
Oh man,
let's just talk about all in general, because I remember where I was. We were all in my living room.
Same here. We were in the living room. We're watching this, and I couldn't believe it when his leg just wrapped around.
Because if you remember, all of a sudden he just fell down. Remember?
Oh, dude, you saw that leg wrap around his check. It was like
not in the moment. Not in the moment. Remember, that was afterwards. He kicked and then he stepped back and fell down. And everyone's like, "What the hell?" And then we watched it and we're like, "Oh, like that." I mean, that's the like. There's been a lot of horrific things in the UFC events and just mixed martial arts in general. That's the one that made my stomach turn, where I was like, "Whoa! Like, what are we doing here?"
I was there. I was just like, what is this sweet? And then,
I didn't know that your shin could do that.
I know. And then like 2 years afterwards, he's back in the octagon. Yeah. Like an injury like that would end anybody's career originally. Now he's got a steel plate in there. And
well, I mean, like when you see, like, I mean, that's similar to kind of what happened to Alex Smith, right? But like in Joe Theismann, but they had socks on. So like you couldn't like see it like that.
No,
like
exactly.
Seeing it with no cover is whoa, right? I mean, listen, that is horrific. Like,
I mean, it's still when I think about it.
Yeah, sometimes when you see body parts do things they're not supposed to do, you're like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on, time out. Like, no one prepared me for this thing. Like, I can't even be here for this.
Okay, so that was you and me there covering Anderson Silva. We both had that.
Yeah.
Did you have another name?
I guess you got to jump to number 3 then, because
Yeah. Okay.
Since you're stealing my thunder.
So the thing is that my number 3 is your honorable mention, Alex Smith.
Oh yeah.
I remember watching that game and just being absolutely disgusted watching that leg collapse underneath him, because it just snapped like a twig, and you could see it happening. It was just dangling there. And I just thought to myself, how is this guy not just crying? Or, you know what I mean? Like he's getting carted off.
Right? I mean, we watched Hard Knocks this year. That's something that Nikki and I do every year. Is we watched the HBO series Hard Knocks, which shows someone training camp. And they were showing Dak Prescott, and they showed his injury from last year, which is probably should be in the list. And she had not seen it yet. And like she was like, he's trying to knock it back into place, like he's slamming his foot into the turf. I was like, yeah, like he's got so much adrenaline and juice going right there. Like he doesn't, like that's not registering. Like his body is taken over into fight mode. Like, he's not aware of anything going on right now.
Right. It blew my mind though, man. It's like just seeing somebody's leg snapped underneath like that was just so disgusting. And I think it's not just the on-field antics, and that it was 33 years to the day of Joe Theismann's injury.
Yeah.
It was the fact that it took 17 surgeries in order to come back, and just to find out how serious that was after the fact.
Yeah.
Like in the moment, it was disgusting. But then to find out how hard it was, and he could have almost lost his life, it was just like,
well, that's
holy
some
crap.
of it, right? Is it's staph infections. That's what gets
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the same thing that happened with Grant Hill in the NBA, right? He had that terrible ankle injury, and and ended up really derailing a lot of his career because he spent so many seasons trying to rehab that ankle from staph infections, and that the staph infection, much to Alex Smith's case, the staph infection ended up being the more serious complication.
Right. What?
I mean, it's horrific enough as it is, right? It was already horrific.
Yeah.
Right. From a physical standpoint, but then to add on, loss of muscle tissue and all those things around it due to these staph infections.
What's the odds of
diseases and all those things?
What's the odds of two Washington quarterbacks going down 33 years apart like that?
Oh, you could never got odds on it. I mean, it's
no. What's next on your list?
Are we at number 2 now? Is that where we are?
Yeah.
It's Ricardo Lockett, is wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. I remember Halloween 2015, that game they played the Dallas Cowboys, and he just gets rocked on a kick return, and I thought that he died. Like
I remember
he ended up breaking his neck on the field. And normally there's always a level of urgency from the emergency response staff, but there was a heightened level of emergency and urgency, and like both sets of team doctors were out and paramedics were sprinting onto the field. Like it was he was not moving. All the players were on a knee, like it was real fear. And that's kind of the tell, if you watch sports at all, or I guess maybe this is just, I know it's not just me, but this is how I view those incidents. Is I always look at the faces of the doctors and to kind of gauge, like, they're always being serious, but to see if you can see some urgency. And there was real panic in those people's faces. It's the first time I remember seeing oxygen come out on the field. Cut his uniform off, like it was just not a good scene at all. And I remember just sitting there watching it. My buddy Brandon Baza, we used to have him to be in Mexico. We're sitting at a bar in a resort in Mexico watching it, and just like, bro, I think he's dead. Like, there was just no movement at all, just massive, just sprinting him off the field on the cart, not rolling him slowly. Like they were in a dire, emergency, and he never played again. He never made it back again. There was, some talk about how close he was to actually dying on the field, or being paralyzed and all that kind of wild stuff. And so that's some of it.
I do vaguely remember that. It's so funny. Like, can you imagine all your dreams and everything of being on the NFL field, and it just comes crashing like to an extreme
and I
halt.
think it sticks because I was just watching the game, because something similar happened in Buffalo to that tight end on a kickoff return. I don't remember what his name is. I have his book somewhere, but it's the same kind of thing, right? And you feel those people. I remember that happening, but I don't remember it as vividly, of course, because it's watching it live. It's the uncertainty of it that breaks it into your, that puts it in your memory bank, right? It's
So it's funny because like I had Joe Theismann on my list, but I'm going to take him off now that we just talked about Alex Smith. But I did want to mention about Joe Theismann. I think we already went through that. It ended his career. What would have happened if he was like 33 years after the fact? The way the medical science is now.
He could have. Yeah. I mean, you remember back then, I mean, not even long ago, right? Maybe 10 years ago, ACLs were career-ending surgeries.
Right.
And now it's like, 8 months, 7 months.
Crazy.
If they want it, it's just modern medicine is doing those things. There's a lot of things that happened 30 years ago that today wouldn't be. I mean, that's my number one, right? My number one is the first time I ever remember seeing someone get injured. It's November of '84, probably.
Who was it?
It's Oakland Raiders on Monday Night Football. I'm staying at my grandparents' house. I know, my parents are on their anniversary trip. And so I was 5 years old. My grandpa let me stay to watch Monday Night Football, which is a big deal. I mean, back then Monday Night Football kicked off late, right? I mean, like 10 o'clock, it was getting over 10:30 on the West Coast, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And before they started like sliding around times to meet, both coasts or whatever. And so Napoleon Kaufman just dives across this. Napoleon McCullum, not Napoleon. Napoleon Kaufman is the running back from the University of Washington that also played for the Raiders. Napoleon McCullum is the running back. He dives across this pile and plants his left knee, and the free safety just lights him up, and his knee goes completely backwards. I mean, he put his helmet into his kneecap, fully planted with all of his weight, and his knee went completely. He threw the ball in the air because he was in so much pain. And I remember just being at 5 years old, like having zero concept that was even possible.
Okay, so my number one, it is a hockey injury. It still haunts me to this day. This is back in 1989. So this is like, my goodness, I was 17 at that time.
Man, I tell you what, like 88 to 93 are your glory years.
I'm telling you.
It's either that or it's all you can remember.
Clint Malarchuk was goaltender for the Buffalo Sabres at the time. And it was just disgusting. Because like Boyer Salming, he was a defenseman for the Maple Leafs just before that. He got stepped on. I'll never forget that with a skate. 22 stitches down like this. Looked great afterwards, though. Looked like a real tough guy. Clint Malarchuk ended up getting a skate right across the carotid artery.
Yeah.
And he's bleeding out. He's freaking bleeding out on the ice. And one of the statements I'll never forget that he ended up saying was, I was just worried about getting off the ice because I didn't want my mother to see me die on the ice. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is how real this was.
Yeah.
Unbelievable that the trainer there was an ex-Vietnam vet. Came out, pinched the artery, put his knee onto his collarbone and shoulder area in order to slow down his breathing. Literally saved his life.
Yep.
And then they were able, this is the freaky thing, Brad. This guy almost dies on the ice, losing, I think, 1.5 liters or something like that of blood just coming right out. They stitched him up, right? 10 days. He's back in uniform. 10 days. Crazy.
You got to get back on. That's not even taking it. I mean, that's all those things are horrific. And then we've seen even this year, the guy from the Mets taking that fastball in the face.
Oh man,
and shattering, his nasal cavities and a cheekbone, and I remember all the blood. I mean, you don't see blood in baseball often, right? Not like that.
No,
that
or even
crazy.
The Oakland Athletics, buddy. There was a line drive on that one there too.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Well, that's the thing. We have these 5 moments, but there's so many more. I mean, remember watching Patrick Mahomes 2 years ago, right, with his knee.
Yes.
And you watch him dive in the pile, and then his kneecap just rolls over, and you're like, whoa.
And just like you mentioned about that Dak Prescott injury, I still remember that one. It was just disgusting to look at.
Yeah, and, it's wild. It's wild how all these things happen, and we, there's ones that shape us and stick with us, and then some that are just, in passing. But man.
So that leads me to this week's wife question of the week.
Oh, here we go.
So, yes. So first installment of this season. We were sitting there, we're talking. I was mentioning to Joanna about our topics today. And she goes, why in the world, this is the wife question of the week, why in the world would anybody make a sport, especially a combat sport, where you're going to get injured?
I mean, I don't know that you're going to get injured. It's possible.
Well, MMA, you know there's going to be some sort of injuries. You're going to get
but I mean, humanity has always thrived on contact and combat, right? That's just the thing. Think about I'm just going to channel my dad here, right? The great and wise Barry Tesh. Whenever my mom would say some wild things like that about us boys, my dad would be like, "You're never a boy, were you?" And that's what I'll say to you, Joanna. You are never a boy. So
I don't think you could put it any more eloquently than that.
We thrive on it. Think about that now.
Yeah.
I wrestle with you now, right?
It's true. And I'm almost 50. It's yeah. And then something's gonna pop somewhere because I'm almost 50.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hurt you. We're just trying to have a little fun.
That's it.
That's all it is. And if someone gets hurt, they get hurt. That's just how it goes. No one's trying to hurt anybody that way, right? You're just trying to. That's just the way it works. That's why historically, and I'm not trying to get into this with anybody. Like, I have respect for everybody, right? I'm not trying to say this. Certain people are bent towards being hunter-gatherers, and other people aren't.
Yeah,
we just thrive on conflict.
That's it. We're men.
All it is. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Listen, I had to fight the urge to jack my kid up a lot. He's going to be 10. And he's wide open in a lot of times. I'm just trying to get him saved up for later. But if I see him exposing himself, I'm going to catch him because he's got.
You save those ones till he's 15. That's when they really come.
There's a couple. I'm just establishing some dominance now, just to get a head start. But
that's,
I wrap him up a lot and just squeeze him and hold him down and just try to get him to get through it. And this is the way of nurturing. This is how it goes. I do it to the girls too, so don't think I just do it to the boy. But I'm always looking for opportunities to expose them.
I bet you those test girls are like the toughest girls on the block right now.
You don't want any part of. You don't want any part of them.
All right. I want to get into week 3. I know you know what's going on already. I mean, week 2. See, you got me going now. I want to get into week 2 because you've been in the future of week 3. You know everything that's going on.
The test girls, and this includes my nieces, ad nauseum, can all choke you out with your own T-shirts. So just at your own peril, try them.
Don't be breaking into the Tesh household.
Yeah,
don't be breaking into the Tesh household.
No, they'll choke you out with your T-shirt and kick you in the nuts. That's how it's going to go down, and you're not going to be happy about it.
Running away, screaming rape.
They're going to be yelling that while they're kicking you in the nuts. They're going to get it. You are going to get it. There's advantages of having a big dad, and that's you feel some pressure early. Anyway, maybe not. Who knows? We'll see. So, week 2. Let's get into our picks, see how it goes, see where we differ.
Okay.
A lot of fun. Also, we're playing each other in fantasy football too, right? So we got that going for us.
Yeah, we have a rivalry going on this week, anyways. Yeah. All right. So Giants Washington. Did it surprise you that the Giants pretty much gave this game away? I mean, they did. Daniel Jones played a great game.
Yeah, 100% gave it away, but it was not in any way, shape, or form a surprise. It just wasn't, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Jason Garrett was calling up fantastic plays, I thought. Yeah. Daniel Jones looked great. Yeah. I think the refs were all over New York, but they were all over Washington as well.
They were listen, the Giants were undisciplined.
They were.
You have a guy who gets a wide open and Clayton at the end of the game that seals it with a touchdown the ball bounces off his hands in the end zone with no one 10 yards around him. You've got to make some catch.
Can you imagine you putting 10 points of pressure on them? That's pressure there. You know what I mean? Now you just have a field goal range and a field goal chance. It's
if and this is armchair quarterback, but if I'm running that route, I probably make that same play, right? But I'm 42 and not a professional football player. No one's paying me to catch the ball.
Yeah, but we could criticize. I love it.
It would not be a surprise if I dropped that pass in front of all those people, but it's a surprise that guy does.
Especially when you're getting paid that much money. Absolutely, this is your bread and butter.
You want to be a starting receiver in the NFL. Gotta catch that ball and stuff. And I mean, Tyler Heineke's a great story, right? Backup quarterback.
Who is this?
Washington football team. Should have been. Maybe should have been the starter in front of Fitzpatrick. Everyone's saying that.
He's just a younger version of Fitzpatrick, as far as I'm concerned.
He's alive. He's got a live one. So try to see what he does in the next 8 weeks.
Well, I think he's got a great chance in order to win that job now. Absolutely. All right, Raiders Steelers. That is going to be a great game.
Yeah, it is a little bit interesting with Josh Jacobs from the Raiders not playing. Being all banged up, all that, but I don't think Pittsburgh looked great against your Buffalo Bills. So, looking for a rebound game from them. They'll be at home.
Yeah,
the Raiders looked. Talk about other games that we haven't talked about. That Monday night game that the Raiders played was one of the wildest
with the Ravens.
I've ever seen.
Yes, it was crazy. I mean.
They thought they had a walk-off touchdown. The end of being short, and then they turn it. What the heck, man? That game was all over the damn place. And then you get a 5-yard delay game penalty on the Raiders for kicking the winning field goal, and they had to back it up 5. Like, what are we doing with our lives, John Grievous?
Crazy. I think
they're right that high. I think it's the Las Vegas Raiders going to Pittsburgh.
That's a hard place to play, Heinz Field.
It is.
It's a hard place to play. And I think that
when it's a really hard place to play is in November. And it's not November, it's September.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Steelers. I'm going with the Steelers on this one. I think the Steelers got the Raiders.
Man, I
hate to say it.
Yeah, it's a coin flip, I think, right?
Yeah. All right. Niners and the Eagles. Is that what you have up there?
You have to go because you're all over the place. So, you give the games, I'll give the games.
All right, Niners, Eagles.
Yeah, San Francisco looked a little bit iffy last week, giving it up in a big blowout. I mean, almost let the Lions come back on like that. That was interesting. They had a couple of major injuries sustained, so we'll see how they come forward. Philadelphia looked fantastic.
They did.
Jalen Hurts
looked great.
Putting it on, so we're going to find out real quick. I think all the pressure on Jimmy G. Games in Philly. I like Philly in a close game.
I do too. I was surprised at the Niners last week. I have to say that right now. I was. But I think
I was not surprised when they were up 3 scores. I was surprised that Detroit had a comeback. I mean, they won an onside kick. It bounced off George Kittle's face mask. Like, it was crazy. The ball was just bouncing in the Detroit players' favor at the end there, and it made it a fun game.
Texans Browns.
Houston at the Browns, which you've said already is your favorite game of the week so far.
It is my favorite game of the week because Texans surprised everybody. I mean, Jacksonville should have had an easy 1, 2, 3 day. They didn't. They lost against the Texans.
They have a little. Lost. They got
yeah.
At home.
Browns look good against the Chiefs.
Yep.
So I'm there going, dang, like this is going to be a good game because who knows what could happen here. Although I think the Cleveland's going to put their foot
the Tyrod Taylor revenge game.
It's true. He was there. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. I think so too. But it makes for interesting. It makes for interesting television for us.
Yeah, there's enough storylines, and I mean that's week 2 and really all the way through like week 4 is so fun because there's no trends yet. Oh. Right? Just because you won last week doesn't mean you're going to win in week 2. Like we're talking about week 5, and you're like, this team's 4-0. You're like, okay, this team's good, right? Yeah. But this week 2 and week 3, you're like, they've won 2 games in a row. That's not really a streak.
Yeah.
They're 2-1. They're 3-0. Man, anything can happen in week 4. Week 5 is when you start turning around and starting to see favorites, right? But now you're just looking at storylines, and it's fun. Because you just don't know. No one knows right now what's going to happen. It's just so beautiful.
Broncos, Jaguars.
Between this and college football, and plug your ears, Jeremy and Tommy and the rest of our Ohio State friends. Man, Oregon going into Ohio State and doing that is wild. And if you didn't watch that game, you did yourself a disservice because they didn't jump out and Ohio State came back. Like they went punch for punch at the end. I kept going, here's where Ohio State comes back, right? Gives them a score. Oregon just jams it down their throat and goes and scores again and go up by 2 touchdowns. Like that game was every bit of fun of football. And those are probably the 2 teams that I hate the most. I do not like the Oregon Ducks. Right.
And you don't like the Ohio State Buckeyes, eh?
And I've hated Ohio State since '96 when there was Orlando Pace and freaking Jim Fassel in his sweater vest. To this day, I will not wear a sweater vest because of Jim Fassel. You know that? To this day.
Oh my God. That is some hatred, buddy.
96 Rose Bowl. Yeah, I mean, there's an article clothing you won't wear because of a coach. That's real shit.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Okay.
All that to be said, the 2 most disliked teams that I have, and I still couldn't stop watching the game. It was fantastic football because
it was a good game.
Football is the great equalizer, right? Absolutely. There's no equalizer like football.
It's true.
You dislike both teams, but man, if the game's good, you're watching.
It's true because I'll even watch a Michigan game, and I hate Michigan. Like I hate everything about Michigan. But...
Well,
all right.
Let's get started on that.
Broncos Jaguars. too.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a role for Denver, right? Denver looks surprisingly good. Teddy Bridgewater looks like his physical skills are back finally. You know, he looked fantastic. Their defense was serviceable. Jacksonville looked terrible. Urban Meyer's like 1 foot on the plane to go to USC to take that job.
That was like the next storyline after that. Like, are you leaving?
Think about it. It feels like this. Remember when Nick Saban was the coach of the Dolphins and that rumor came out that he was interested in Alabama, and he was like, there's no way I'd ever go to Alabama. And then like a week later, he's like, hey, everybody, guess what? It's been real. I'm going to Alabama. That's what Urban Meyer looked like when they asked him about USC. It looked like he surprised him in front of his wife. He was like, "Wait, what? Oh, I didn't. What do you mean? I didn't spend any money at Hooters. You know, like my wife's here. You know, that's what it looked like to him. Like, here's the thing. You know, shout out to Lambda. Lambda is my favorite guy to talk football with, and I always enjoy getting Aaron picked because that's all we do is just talk about fun football stuff.
Yeah.
And he's coaching these days, but I'm real proud of him. He's doing well. So Coach Lampton, good job. But what we talked about was, you know, if that USC job was open before Urban signed on in Jacksonville, there's no way Urban was in Jacksonville.
Yeah. I
so now that it's open and he's not, you know, Urban's not really suited for the NFL game, right?
I was just going to say, do you think he's out of his depth? I don't think he's out of his depth, but he's out of his comfort level, right? And I know that he wants to adapt. He probably could adapt, right? He's a good coach. But does he want to? That's the question. Nick Saban also could have done it, right? Nick Saban could have been a Belichick-ish NFL quarterback or, you know, coach. Didn't want to be. Right? Hey, I can go make $7 million and be a god on campus. Nick Saban. Yeah, but the same could be said
Urban Meyer. I can go be a god at USC, $7 million.
Yeah. The same could be said about the brother there, coach for the 49ers, Jim Harbaugh. I think Michigan overpaid for that guy for mediocrity.
Well, it's because he works for him. Jim Harbaugh's most people.
Jim Harbaugh.
Don't even give me anything wrong about. I wanted to punch Jim Harbaugh since I was 4. He was playing for the Bears.
All right, let's move on. Let's get back on top.
Or Sean, like the first time I ever balled up my fist in anger was against Jim Harbaugh, and I still don't even bring any face up here. It's my blood pressure up already. Trying to have a good day.
Yeah, it's your anniversary, man. You should be
Jim Harbaugh.
All right, Saints Panthers.
Yeah, good game, right? I mean, maybe not too good.
Go either way.
Yeah. 2 of the best running backs in football, and Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
Fascinating storyline in New Orleans. They're going to be down like 7 coaches.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal. Big deal, kids. You got to watch this. This is the thing. You might see Carolina jumps all over New Orleans. You know what? We'll know why.
The Browns want to play off game without Stefanski.
Yes, but I mean, coaching is a lot of the head coach, right? But not necessarily in game.
I totally agree.
You know what I mean?
7 coaches to go down? That's crazy.
You would rather be out without your head coach in a game than you would be without 7 assistants.
Yeah. Now the head coach is
as great as Sean Payton is, right? As great as Sean Payton is. That's really the storyline. And we'll see what Jameis does, right? I mean, Jameis, he's my pick for comeback player of the year, right? I think he'll lead the league in, passing touchdowns, which came to fruition last week.
Totally agree.
We should have stopped the count now so I can be right. But, we'll see. We'll see here. We'll see with this Saints team.
I love it. All right. Rams Colts. Buddy boy. Rams look legit after week 1.
Is there a better division in sports than the NFC West?
No.
In sports, not in football. In sports. Just think about divisions in sports.
Colts have more questions. Oh, the Rams, come on. The Rams look they look like they're loaded for bear, man.
I'm just thinking about the NFC West, right? Arizona looked fantastic.
I know. Arizona looked great. Seattle looked great. San Fran looks great. The Rams look great. It's crazy.
You could have 3 playoff teams from the NFC West this year.
absolutely it's amazing to even think that. And then still one of them might be 10-7 and not get in. Isn't that the craziest thing? Because you have the NFC least that's going to take a playoffs seed away from you guys, probably coming in at a 7-10.
Yep. Wild. Absolutely wild.
Just blows your mind. Anyways, I think the Rams are running all over the Colts. I don't think the Colts have an answer for that. They don't have an answer for that.
I think it's the blowout of the week, to be fair.
They don't have an answer for that. You're throwing.
Listen,
what's his
Carson,
face? Whoopie
Carson Wentz
splat in there.
it's 3 games.
Yeah, Wentz.
He needs to walk across the field. He needs to grab Aaron Donald and look him in his eye and just say, "I just want to meet you now before you're laying on the later."
That defense is legendary. It's stuff of legend.
Yeah,
it's stuff of legend.
Yep.
I'm sorry, man. I don't see how the Colts come out of that.
Matt Stafford's been a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback in this system.
Tell me about it. You have wide receivers to play with. You have offensive line to cover you.
Yep. Real coordinator for once.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Indianapolis is in trouble. Bills, Dolphins. Bills need to come back in this game. I'm sorry. They need to.
It's week 2 and you're already on the panic wagon?
Oh, yeah. You have to assert confidence back into Josh Allen.
You should be, because Miami's going to walk them.
Wow. Okay, so we're in odds on this one because Bills, I'm saying you're going to win.
The odds already.
Yeah. I'm there going Bills. Bills have to win. It's going to be a wild and woolly one right down to the finish because the Dolphins always show up.
You're already at a must-win in week 2. Like your team.
Yes. Yes. I hate to say it, man. It's week 2, but it's, yeah. You have to. Come on, man. If he goes down 0-2 after that progression of last season, his confidence is shot. Josh Allen's confidence would be shot.
Yeah.
Is that all you have to say to what I have to say here?
He looks like a baby giraffe out there. Yeah, he doesn't have any confidence to start with.
All right. Let's move on from that. So we're at odds.
Listen, everyone, just go Google quarterback rushing TDs, and you'll see one person jumping like a baby giraffe across the goal line, and only one person. And that person cannot hit the broadside of a barn. And his name is Josh Allen, number 17, which since Doug Williams hasn't been a great quarterback number.
Oh my God. Okay, let's move on. I'm telling you right now, Bills, you're going Dolphins. You're saying run.
I understand the truth hurts, and you bought this Josh Allen jersey already when you shouldn't have. And here, I mean,
he's my quarterback, man. He's my quarterback. All right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's not your winner. I'll tell you that.
All right. Patriots, Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything from the Jets last week that makes me feel like the New England Patriots are going to lose.
No. So I'm going to tell you right now, Patriots going to win. They're going to run them.
I think no one in the AFC East won last week, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
All losers.
Pretty bad.
You know, I was keeping track in our little spot there. You know, we've got Patriots fans, Bears fans, Bills fans.
Well, having said that, you know, like,
but my team still wins. So.
Yeah, we all knew that, Brad. Thanks, Brad. Yeah.
After
Pac Northwest, whatever.
Didn't you pick the Colts last week?
Did I pick the Colts?
Pretty sure. You said Russell Wilson's gonna have a terrible game.
No, not against the Seahawks. Come on, man.
We'll pull
Come
the
on,
tape.
that's
pretty sure out of spite.
No, man, that's insanity. Maybe if it was out of spite, but I don't think so. I'm not that stupid. All right, Bengals, Bears. Dave, Sadler, cover your ears. Bears are getting spanked.
Cincinnati throws the ball a little bit. That's Chicago's in for a rough one. We might see Justin Fields sooner than we think.
I know. Bengals, I'm sorry, Joey Burrows looks like the real deal.
I mean, again, right? But I mean, he looked real good before he got hurt last year. It's always hard coming back. You know, look like he's on the mend. So, you're going to see. I think it's big things from Mr. Burrows this year.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I think the Bears are getting spanked.
Yeah.
And week 3, Justin Fields starts.
Yeah, I've been on record saying by week 4. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Slow down, Red
All
Rifle.
right.
The clipboard's on
Dude.
its way.
Why is this game even being played? Buccaneers Falcons. Why? Why is it even being played?
Well,
Why are the Falcons showing up?
Because they're division opponents. It has to be played. In Tampa.
It's a recipe for disaster for Atlanta.
Is it Tampa by 20?
Easy.
I mean,
Yeah.
a lot. I don't know what you're doing, Atlanta.
But it's embarrassing. It's
Cash and
embarrassing.
checks. Or Philadelphia's that good. I don't know the answer, but I feel like they're just terrible. I think it's Tampa by a lot.
Listen, I said it at the end of last season that Matt Ryan should have retired. That guy should be gone. They should have another quarterback in there. Why aren't they drafting?
He's not going to retire if you're still going to pay him $20 million.
Of course not. And then Julio Jones. Who's Julio Jones? What do you have there now? You have nobody. You're just a joke.
Calvin Ridley is a bona fide number 1 receiver. They do not have a running game. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
That Kyle Pitts pick at 4, he might be the best tight end of this generation, but it's going to be lost on a terrible team because they don't have an offensive line or
that is so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate.
Well, I mean, they had time, right? I mean, that's a bit of an overreaction. They do not look good.
All right. Vikings-Cardinals, another one of these games. Why is this even being played?
Oh, the Cardinals.
Vikings are terrible.
Yeah, the Cardinals are going to destroy it. Kirk Cousins is a terrible quarterback anyway, let alone the
Vikings are terrible.
Yeah.
Why even play that game?
You saw Everson Griffin this week hitting a deer just so he could avoid playing in the week. Did you see that? Everson Griffin was like, man, I'm on a short leash. How can I get out of that playing this week? Oh, there's the deer. I'm just going to hit that deer.
Why not? Because I don't want to be embarrassed on TV.
Yeah, I don't want to play, but I want to get this game checked. How can I get
my
out of
God.
Is that a deer? Oh.
All right, this game's got me interested because Seattle Seahawks against Tennessee Titans. I think Seattle's going to win. But I think Tennessee is going to try to punch their way out of this year. Tennessee. Derrick Henry's got to get back on track.
Yeah,
58 yards?
I'm going to be there. So.
Yo, you're going to be there?
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. Shout out to Jason McFadden. Man, last night he was at the Storm game.
Yeah.
Right, hanging out with Megan and seeing Sue Bird afterwards, Brianna Stewart, and he was all over the place, sitting right there. Said he's going to be at the Husky game. And to his credit, he invited me along for this whirlwind sports tour. I could have gone to the Storm game last night. Could have gone to the Husky game today. It's my anniversary, so I did the right thing and stayed home.
You did.
But tomorrow, I'm driving down.
Make sure you take some pictures, all right? Put it up on the. Put it up.
I'll send it. But I'll
Do
be
it.
there live.
Yeah.
So, Jason, appreciate it. Thanks very much.
All right, so you're going to be there. I want some real-time coverage because I think Seattle's going to win, but Tennessee's going to show up. I think this game.
I think it's a shootout. I mean, I still think Seattle wins comfortably, but I think there's a lot of points scored, which either way is fine.
Yeah. All right, Cowboys-Chargers. Interesting. Cowboys did not look bad against Tampa.
Yeah, they didn't. The Chargers didn't look terrible either, right? It's a weird, it's a weird game. Probably the toughest game to pick, I think, this week for me.
Yeah. I think this one also is it's going to be right down to the wire. Probably like that Thursday night game, coming right down to the wire on a field goal. So
yeah, I like Los Angeles at home, so I'll go Chargers.
I'm going to go Cowboys in this one because I think. But I mean, they have lost, and I'm taking the Cowboys, knowing they lost to Marcus Lawrence. You know what I mean? The defense is a little questionable.
They lost another lineman to a freak accident this week.
Yeah.
So they're getting another one back. I mean, that's what they didn't look good. They didn't look good on offense, rushing the ball, but they do the shit out of it.
Listen, Dallas thought all this time that it was Ezekiel Elliott. They thought it was Ezekiel Elliott. No, it is Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's their guy.
Well, yeah. I mean, Zeke has a lot of talent, but that offensive line's not doing any favors. And that's where he really made his money right here.
It's Ravens.
It's not my Ohio State bias. Here's why I don't like Ezekiel Elliott. It has nothing to do with Ohio State. Well, maybe it does because they allowed it. When he showed up at the draft with his little dress shirt cut so you could see his belly button, that's all I need to know about Ezekiel Elliott.
That's a great point, man.
That's all I need to know. That's all you need to know, man. You're not
That's
an alpha.
a great point.
You're not an alpha at that point. You're a prima donna walking in like that.
And
With a bunch of other world-class alpha. Yeah.
Don't be doing that.
Just stop, Zeke.
Don't be doing that.
I want to like
Feed
Zeke,
me.
and I see him. I watch him on Hard Knocks, man, and whenever I see him, I'm like, yeah, like, man, I really could rock with Zeke, right? I think he's a fun dude, and all that stuff. And I just flash back to that draft photo. I'm like, man, this guy just, you know what? I'm out.
He's an Ohio State alumni, absolutely. I mean, if you talk to a lot of my family on my wife's side, they're going to love Zeke Elliott. Yeah, there are those few things.
And they should.
There are those few things.
You know what we forgot was Willis McGahee's knee in 2002 in the Orange Bowl. Willis McGahee remember the C? There we go.
Yeah.
Anyway. Chargers for me in this one, Cowboys for you. Kansas City, Baltimore is where we are next.
Yeah. Kansas City's going to beat Baltimore, keep that express train rolling. Keep that record going against Baltimore.
The injury bug that lived in San Francisco last year is now in Baltimore. They're just ACL City up there right now, and they're just shredded on defense. No more Marcus Peters. They're down how many running backs? They're just losing. They're hemorrhaging people at this point.
Yep.
Kansas
They're in
City
trouble.
Yeah. They are.
And finally, we talked about this at the beginning of the show. Green Bay Packers on the Monday night game. Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions. It's a must-win for Green Bay as well.
Yeah, Green Bay's got to get back on track.
Yeah.
But
I think they will.
They do it at home against a division opponent by a lot.
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah.
Man, okay. It's going to be interesting to see them if all of our picks come to fruition there. I mean, I already know that and I'm already at a disadvantage picking these teams because you came back from week 3, so that's awesome. It's unfortunate you had to come back and celebrate your.
Yeah, now you just have to decide if I'm telling you the truth or not.
That's it. Actually, I used the wrong word. It's fortunate that you got to come back a week back and celebrate your anniversary again.
Twice.
So twice. I mean, that must have been really nice. You had to do it twice.
We're celebrating twice.
So nice you had to do it twice, right?
Or 5 times, as the case may be.
Why would you keep coming back? You got the sports betting wrong this week. You had to keep coming back.
Yeah, my memory's not what it used to be.
Brad, as always, man, it's been so good. This has been great.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Oh, man.
Okay, kids, till next time. Be good at it.
Righto.
You've listened to the podcast, but now it's time to visit us in our virtual sports bar. Get all of our info at guysbeersports.com, where you can find all the ways to connect with us. Watch for live conversations with Brad and Sean that happen throughout the week, and join in with your favorite local beer. You can share your thoughts in the conversation comments with your own uploaded videos, or even join us as a guest live commentator. The GBS Virtual Sports Bar is open for business. Come on in, boys and girls.